Yeah, it's happening, people. Okay, so I want to talk today. I want to ramble today, really, about why I think YouTube is both a great place for creatives, like maybe even the best place for creatives, but simultaneously maybe the worst place for creatives as well. And this is inspired by a video that I saw by a YouTuber called Oh Stephco, who does a lot of sort of commentary and storytelling and things like that. And one video she put up where she talks about the expectations that she feels as a black lady content creator on the platform. And she had one of the videos or a couple of videos that went viral, and from there she's been getting these messages from people saying you should talk about this issue, you should talk about that issue. She feels this kind of expectation to talk about these things, but the thing on her side is that they're not all things that necessarily resonate with her because not necessarily her experience. It doesn't want to do anything that seems disingenuous, which I understand. And I think that a lot of creators feel something similar, in the sense that there is a disconnect from what a lot of people want to see from you and what you want to do, at least at what you want to do at any given moment in time. And one of the things that I think a lot of people feel is that that pressure to conform to the masses. If you go on any of these YouTube channels that talk about how to make it on YouTube, how to get your first 1,000 subscribers and stuff like that, they all say something very similar about if you have a video that's doing particularly well, then do more of that, which seems like good advice from the outset. But the problem is that I don't think that advice takes in the mental toll of what that does when you're trying to do the same thing over and over again, when the truth is none of us are just one thing. We're all kind of many things. And some days you want to talk about A, other days you want to talk about B, other days you might want to talk about C, and you can be one person doing many things. But the problem is that oftentimes people just want to see that one thing from you, that one thing from you, that video that went popular. They just want to see that from you. They have that expectation that they pull on you. And I think a lot of us feel that in various degrees. And it's fascinating to me because I wonder why that happens, because you look at people like Kevin Hart, for example, and Kevin Hart is often celebrated, or at least after seems celebrated, for being multifaceted, for doing comedy, for being a producer, for all these different things that he does, all the many hats that he wears, and people celebrate that. I say it's so cool that you could do all these different things. But then when you look at YouTubers or on and they want to do different things, it becomes a problem. I think, why is that? Why do we celebrate some people for being multi-talented or multifaceted, but then we hate it when other people try to be multifaceted? That doesn't add up to me, and I wonder what the difference is. And look, I'm no psychologist or whatever. I'm just some guy rambling on the internet with my opinions on things, and maybe my opinion is correct, maybe my opinion is not correct. And if you know more about these things than I do, then please let me know. But it is a fascinating thing to me. That's something that I've seen with some of my videos that have done really well and got thousands of views. And I'm open to suggestions. If people want to drop suggestions, I'm open to that. But I do feel more and more so lately than before that I'm very, very picky about my suggestions, because I find a lot of the suggestions are pretty much just the same thing. And what I'm somewhat conscious of, or I don't know if that's the right word to use, but one, maybe say aware of to some degree, if that's even a better word, I don't know. But something that comes to me is that I don't really like the idea of appealing to people, trying to appeal to people that only want one thing from me, because I do like to do different things. I do like to try different things, whether it's a vlog, whether it's a reaction, whether it's this, whether it's that. I do like to try different things and put them in this one place. Well, I do have other channels for other stuff, but generally speaking, on this channel where I vlog, as a general term, I like to do things and do different things in this one place. But then I recognize that there is a large, or relatively large, number of people that, large for me anyway, small time, but a relatively large number of people that just want to see this one thing from me. And if I do that one thing, they'll watch that video, but then I put something else up and they don't care. And I've noticed that, a lot. And for me, it's like I don't like the idea of only doing the thing that they want to see, especially when I know that they don't really care about me or what I'm trying to do. That doesn't seem like a good balance to me. But when you look at these videos about how to be on YouTube, it is that kind of advice. Do what people want. Put your own feelings aside and do what people want. And I just don't feel that is good advice. I mean, I think it's good advice in certain circumstances. I don't believe it's good advice for everybody. I think if your channel is set up with a very specific purpose to, for example, I don't know, talk about mobile phones, the latest mobile phones. If you set up your channel very specifically to talk about the latest mobile phones, and that's the expectation that you create yourself. Whereas, and that, by the way, I'm not saying that just because you create an expectation, that means you must never ever do anything that goes against that expectation. But I do think there is a difference between going against an expectation that you created yourself and then going against an expectation that someone else created for you. And I think there's a lot of us that have these expectations created for us rather than us creating these expectations. You know, we're just on here doing stuff, you know, just trying to be ourselves. But a lot of times people have these expectations that they create, that they have because they saw a video of yours and decided that they're going to put you in this box now. So you're the guy that does this. And if you do anything outside of that, they don't care, you know, because you're this guy now. You're that and nothing else. And I don't know where that comes from, because it's like I try not to do that to people. I can't lie. I guess I have done it in the past as well, but I try not to do it to people. And even for myself, when I have done it, where does that come from? Now, why do we have this idea that a person should only do this one thing? You know, when we all know that we do different things. Like everybody in this world has more than one interest. You know, so why is it so alien, or why is it so abominable when somebody does other things and they want to show they have different interests? I don't, you know, it doesn't really make any sense. And I saw there's an episode of Lost where one of the ladies, who was a young lady who had a baby, and she's a young mother, she doesn't know what to do. It's first time, and you know, she's struggling, and the baby's crying, and she doesn't know how to handle it. And then one of the older characters, Locke, he comes to her and he says, "No, let me help you." And he takes the baby and he wraps up the baby real tight, and then, you know, the baby stops crying. And then he said to her that babies actually like the feeling of being restricted, and so only when we get older that we you know, yearn for freedom. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it sounds like it could be, or at least in some circumstances, but that's kind of not the point I'm trying to make. I just wonder, like, how many of us grow past that needing that feeling of restriction. How many of us really grow past that? Because a lot of us say things like, we want things to be genuine, we want the truth, we want people to be real, but then when people are being real, we reject it. So I wonder, like, how many of us really grow past that, you know, feeling of wanting to be restricted, wanting to be protected. How many of us truly grow past that? And I think maybe a lot of us stay kind of in that frame of really wanting everything to be controlled around them, really wanting everything to be, you know, organized and made for them, and, you know, just restricted. But even though we say we want freedom, I feel like maybe not a lot of us don't really, not deep down, we don't really. I mean, let's be honest, freedom is scary. You know, the differences that we have can be frightening. And especially if you see something from somebody that you create this image of them, the fact that they can now be something else, that's scary, because now they can't be this thing for you. I'm spitting, by the way, sorry. Listen, if it looks like I've got food in my teeth, I do. I just ate. And I spit my food out as well. But yeah, I think there's a lot of us that don't go past that wanting to be mothered, you know, wanting to be nurtured. You know, we look at the world and the world is frightening. And rather than accepting that things aren't always going to go our way, we maybe try to control it. And one of the ways we try to control that is by projecting these expectations onto other people. So when we come across a YouTuber, we tries to control, especially with smaller YouTubers, because I guess we can't really do that with the big YouTubers or the big celebrities like, Kevin Hart and so on. So when they're doing all this sort of stuff, it's like, oh, that's cool. But when you see the small time YouTuber, it's, oh, let me try to control this. Let me try and nip this in the bud. Let me try and put this guy back in his place before he gets too big for his britches, before he gets too big for his boots, that sort of thing. Perhaps that's part of it. Perhaps that's that, trying to control the world so you could create or curate your own version of the world that fits how you see things, and anybody that you have in your world has to fill into that. But the problem is that we are more than one thing. People who consider themselves to be creatives or expressive, or anybody really, more than one thing. Some days you're super serious and you want to talk about the latest topics that affects the community and what we can do about it and how we could resolve these issues. Other days, you want to do a TikTok dance. It could be like that, right? And we should be allowed to be like that. And well, I guess, let me rephrase that. We are, of course, allowed to be like that. But that feeling that we all kind of have, because when we recognize that there is this massive part of the audience that just don't want to see certain things. And I guess more so for people who are, making a living off of YouTube, that pressure is going to be a lot more, because now it's like your money's affected, your bills are affected, your rent, your mortgage, all these could be affected if you're not feeding what people want to see. But then when you're feeding what people want to see, you do so potentially at the detriment to your own mental health, because you're suppressing yourself now. And it's not even so much that the things that people want to see are things that you just don't want to do at all. I don't think it's that simple. I reckon that oftentimes things that you are interested in, or things that you do, you do like, or do have something to say about, they're just not always things that you want to talk about in this moment. And because of that, it feels like you're suppressing yourself constantly and you're not putting yourself out there. And that needs to be yourself in that moment is constantly being suppressed, and that takes its toll on you. The other side is that you could be yourself. You could just pull out the videos and come whatever may, right? I'm just going to do whatever I want. But then you do that enough times and eventually people start going away because they just don't want to see that from you. And it's difficult. And I think regardless of whether you're making money off YouTube, whether you're making a living out of it or not, it's difficult, because part of being creative and part of being expressive is that you do, of course, want to be seen, regardless of whether you're making money or not. You want people to see what you are expressing. You want people to hear what you are saying. But when you realize that not many people, at least comparatively to, the number of people, the number of followers you might have, not many people actually want to hear it. That is difficult to kind of keep doing that. And I get it, I'm not trying to pretend like, oh, I'm perfect and I know how to do this. I feel these pressures too, because you see what's going on and you see how people respond to things. And, I think I've mentioned this before, but there's a content creator, Shan Boody, mostly talks about sort of relationship and relationship advice and that sort of thing. But she put out one video ages ago where she talks about her YouTube journey, and she mentioned about 5 people showing up to a show. Like, if imagine you put on a show and only 5 people show up, but a venue could hold like thousands of people. Like, do you focus your attention on the back door waiting for more people to come, or do you focus your attention on the 5 people who are already there? And I think that kind of thing applies to this in a way, that you could have so many people that following you, but the truth is only 5 people are actually showing up for you, and so where are you focusing your energy? You focusing your energy on the many people that don't really care about the things that you're doing and only like you for as long as you do the very specific thing that they want from you? Or do you focus your energy on the people that actually do care about you and actually do, want to see you grow and do want to support you, and, that sort of thing? Where are you focusing your energy? And it's easy, of course, to come in here and say, yeah, just focus your energy on the people that care about you. Of course, it's easy to say that. But for a lot of people out there, especially people who need to consider things like money and that sort of thing, it's difficult. And I'm spitting again. It's difficult. So yeah, I'm not trying to come out here and tell you what you need to do, because your situation is different from mine, and your situation is different from that person, and their situation is different from theirs. It's trying to figure out what that balance is, and that is, it's different. Some of us never figure out that balance. That some of us never. We go our whole lives and never figure out what that right balance is, and that balance probably shifts from time to time as well. You know, that balance probably, you know, some days it's going to be down here, other days it's going to be up here. You know, so figuring out how that changes. You know, being on YouTube, I think part of it, at least for me anyway, part of it is understanding that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And I personally just feel like it's not a good idea to try to appeal to the masses, rather than, you know, focusing in as let me try and talk properly. That might be a good step. That might be good advice in general. Learn to talk properly. But I personally feel like it's not a good idea to try and appeal to the masses, rather than trying to focus on, you know, myself, what I want to do, and the people who actually care about what I'm doing, you know, what they want to see. You know, I feel like that's where it should go. But then that comes with the understanding, or at least it should come with the understanding, that, you know, it's a slow journey. You're most likely, unless you get very lucky, it's most likely not going to be an overnight thing. You know, when you hear about people like, you know, getting, you know, 1 million subscribers in 2 weeks, you know, that can be done, sure, but then there's maintaining that. And how are we maintaining that? And to what costs do we maintain that? You know, what do we give up to maintain that? Because the cost isn't always monetary. When I say cost, I'm not always talking monetary. I'm talking about your health, mental health, physical health. All that takes a toll. You know, everything you do takes a toll on you. And the more you suppress yourself, the more you know, hide who you really are, and just put out this version of you that isn't quite there. Not to say fake. I don't think fake is, I mean, maybe for some people it is fake, but I don't think that's really it's it for a lot of people. I think it's just not you in that moment. It's a version of you that you're not wanting to express right now, but you keep putting it out because that's what they want to say. I think the more you do that, the more you get better at doing that, because I think effectively, ultimately, you practice makes improvement, and everything you do is what you're practicing. So if you're practicing putting out a fake version of you, you're going to get better at putting out a fake version of you, to the point where you don't even know who the real you is in that moment. Or let's say, maybe not fake, again, maybe it's a loaded word, but a lesser version of you, the not quite you in this moment version of you. If you're constantly doing that, then the actual you is going to get lost, and you're not going to know who that person is, you know. And for me, it's just like, I don't see the value in becoming a big, famous, rich YouTuber if it's not really me becoming a big, famous, rich YouTuber. You know what I mean? Like, what is the value in people loving this thing that I do while I'm miserable, while I'm, you know, depressed, while I'm battling depression, while I'm maybe even feeling suicidal? You know, I don't see the value in going down that path for the sake of fame and fortune. You know, I feel like you can't value money that way. And as much as, yes, look, I've said this many times before, I'd love to be in a position where I can do this and not have to worry about having, you know, any doing other things, and, you know, having a job or having to do this and doing that. I'd love to be able to do that. But I've felt for a long time now, I can't do that at the expense of my mental health. I can't do that at the expense of just being genuine. That doesn't feel like success to me. You know, it feels like torture. You know, but yeah, like I say, we still feel this thing where it's like I can see, because I get the, you know, suggestions coming through, and oh yeah, do this, do da. And yeah, some of the suggestions I like, you know, some of the suggestions I get, I think they resonate with how I'm feeling, or look, they could be really cool things I'd want to try out. So yeah, I do look at suggestions, but then when I notice that, and I've been through these stages where, you know, I tried to do the things that everybody wanted to, and I just kind of realized that it's like, this is not what I want to be doing, you know, because it's like, you realize that they're not there for you. And as much as that sounds selfish or whatever, you know, yeah, it kind of is. I think if you have a space for you to be expressive and creative, to express yourself in any kind of artistic way or creative way, or, you know, any kind of thing that you're feeling, it kind of does need to be about you to an extent. Like I said, if you set up your channel with a very specific purpose, then maybe it's less about you and more about the thing that you're talking about. But for everybody else, it's like, I feel it does kind of need to be about you, you know. And if you start to feel like this is less about me talking about the things that I feel like I want to talk about, or expressing the ideas that I feel like I want to express, and more about me curtailing, is that the right word? I probably just I don't think I made it. It's not a made up word, but I don't think that's the word I want to use right now. If it becomes more at me curating, that's a better word actually, curating my opinion or my views or my videos to suit the views of what people want to hear and see from me, yeah, that doesn't seem like a good idea. That doesn't seem like what success is to me. That seems to me like torture. That seems to me like depression. That seems to me like just not a good idea. So yeah, big up to Oh Stephco when, you know, when she was talking about it, and she just said, no, she's gonna do what she feels she needs to do. And I think more of us need to do that. Just talk about the things that we want to do, make the videos that we want to make. And I mean, like I say, I get it. It's not always that easy when you do have to consider other things. But to me, it's just like, I don't see the value in making lots of money if you are not making lots of money. You know what I mean? It's not you doing it. It's a version of you that doesn't always exist. In fact, very rarely exists. But that becomes what everybody knows and wants to see and expects. And now you that you are right now, you don't even know who that is anymore. Yeah, that just seems like torture to me. But hey, I'm just some guy rambling on the internet. But let me know what you think. Drop any recommendations, suggestions in the comments, and maybe I might do some of them. Send them through and I'll see what I can do. Like, share, subscribe, because we're doing this 10-year. Yeah, my fam. Got more videos on the screen. Check out my other channels as well. I do have some other channels, movie channel, comedy channel. You know, check them out. Be much appreciated. But that's going to be it for the minute. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.